very welcome to the latest Cup of Culture from the South Tip Arts podcast. We're just at the end of the third week of our Connect, Create, Inspire programme, designed to celebrate the importance of creativity to our health and well-being. And my guest this week is a great proponent of the fact. She's Brigid Teehan of Beehouse Arts, and she passionately believes that everyone has creative potential, and when that potential is realised, it has a powerful role to play in people's physical, mental and social well-being. Beehouse Arts develops, coordinates and delivers innovative arts projects in community and healthcare settings, including bespoke creative activities for events and festivals, which is exactly what she's doing for our little mini festival. And Brigid's series of workshops is called Boots Off, which is a group journaling session that has been taking place on the last number of Tuesday nights. I caught up for a chat with Brigid about how she's been getting on. It's lovely to have you here on the Cup of Culture this week with us. This is officially the the third week of the programme, which goes on for a month. So you've got a few weeks, shall we say, under your belt in this Connect, Create and Inspire project. And your project had a very specific sort of target market, I think. That's what was so lovely about it. It was different. And your idea was to encourage rural dwellers and people who might feel a little bit isolated during these times in particular to join us on a Tuesday night and just to start maybe putting pen to paper in a journal, which is something that, I don't know, a lot of people maybe find it a little bit difficult to do. So what's your experience been over the past couple of weeks?
I think it's improving every week, and I think that's because people are getting used to the group itself, and you develop a certain trust amongst the participants. I think the atmosphere amongst the group is encouraging people to probably get into the exercises more, and I found it easier myself because it's something I'm exploring as part of my practice, but it's the first time I've focused on journaling in a workshop in itself. So it was a new experiment for me to see how that would go.
I didn't realise that, because we know each other. I didn't realise you were so into journaling and notebooks, and I was amazed at all the different ones that you were pulling out for different things. Like you had one that was lists for kind of things that you had to do in the day. You had another one for like art stuff. You had another one for like just thoughts. You had another one for, and I just thought, wow, that's a journal habit.
Yeah, I think it begins in art school. Really, it's something that's you're exposed to the keeping of notebooks and sketchbooks and working out ideas, and as you're travelling on a train, pulling out a notebook, writing thoughts, and I've constantly used notebooks throughout my education, and then it becomes a habit that you use for the rest of your life. If you can't get to a studio, or you may not have a studio, you can plan things out, tease out things in a notebook and write. So I used to think, I'll have sketchbooks full of sketches as such, but it ends up being really a lovely mixture of life. So if I look back on a sketchbook, it's got it could have some small accounts done in it. It could have materials to buy. I love when I'm trying to tease out things and I'm just working out lots of questions and trying to answer questions, and then sketches. And I certainly wasn't very precious in my sketchbooks. There wouldn't really be much in it I would cut out and frame or anything, but some of it is quite. I'm looking back on them now in a different light. So
it's interesting because I had all that exposure that you had to sketchbooks and journal, but I didn't keep up the habit. So how do you figure that you managed to keep it going? Was it just utter focus?
Journaling, I suppose I'm broadly pulling it out to writings and also ideas. I'd have creative ideas, and I could be, busy with kids and when I had babies as well. It was easy to reach across, grab a book and put it out, in the notebook. And because I've often, felt, I'll remember that, I'll do it later. And then you forget it, and it was really interesting, and it's so annoying when you can't remember. Yeah. So I don't trust my memory. So everything goes in if I have any thoughts that I think are interesting and I might pursue later. So it was my kind of just thread keep my practice alive throughout those years of raising kids. And, now there's other demands, but we have a studio here in Hughes's Mill, which is great. But it's lovely to, if you're at home and something happens, or, you just put it down. But I love books in general. I like the different sizes and textures, and I'm always looking out for interesting notebook sketches. I just love them.
Mm. So we've noticed that over the weeks that the group has grown, sort of developed into, I kind of almost knew who I was going to be meeting last night, which was lovely. I think people are nervous. It's something people are nervous about, especially people who maybe aren't into the whole technology thing. And this is, people have a bit of sort of overload of online events. It gets a bit tiresome after a while, the not being able to kind of physically interact with people. I think what's been lovely about the journaling workshop, as well as the other ones, has been that we've discovered that there really is a way to sort of make these things very interactive. And it can almost, I know nothing can replace being in a physical room with people, but sometimes it can do a pretty good job and it can be good enough,
I agree. It is. And I think I'd like to see the group, that the Boots Off workshop as somewhere where you can relax. But I try and keep the pace moving so that people are doing stuff, and so that they feel that something has occurred. It's not like watching a film or something where you might feel that's a great story, but you feel kind of exhausted.
Yeah.
That people might feel energized. It's trying to get that energy going, and it's a practice, I suppose, of facilitating that. You can only do it by trying it. So I can't wait and I'll be good at this. You have to do it. So I suppose
I think it goes way beyond even that you're good at it or bad at it. And actually, you said that on the first night, and it instantly sort of broke something down in me, where you were talking about how that even if you just write, like, let the pen on the paper, and even if it's just you're writing, why am I writing this? It doesn't actually matter, because it's the act of sort of getting something out. And the minute that the pen kind of hits the paper, then while you might begin in a kind of a very weird and abstract way, what am I doing here? It turns into something very quickly, or something will rise up in your head and all of a sudden it'll be on the page. Like I've been kind of blown away by that, because it's not something I ever make time for. Like I'm one of those people who goes, oh yeah, I'll do that later. I'll put it in the back of my head. But the older you get, you realize that the old memory isn't quite up to scratch anymore. And like writing things down starts to become very important.
I know, it's amazing. It's amazing how we change and how we think we don't change, and time marches on. And
it does.
I mean, this is what's important. I think I'm trying to encourage the idea of us leaving our personal records, especially now that we're under this kind of strain, I suppose, of the pandemic, that we can make the time for ourselves to reflect on it and de-stress a little bit through the writing and let it out. And there is no perfect time. It's like waiting for, the special day when you sit down and open the book or the sketchbook to do some work. We have to show up, on a regular basis and just get through that uninspired kind of feelings we might have about doing anything creative. It's worth making it a habit. So what we're doing is trying to develop that habit through small prompts, and hopefully people will incorporate it into their practice afterwards.
So I think that's lovely in that it's not for anybody.
It's not for anybody. It's just your own personal thing, and it doesn't have to be shared. But like the morning practice, Julian Cameron, I think she's well known now for that technique of writing. She recommends just not going back over them, maybe after a while, if you think a theme is coming through. But really, it's just a practice of writing, getting it out. It's not about needing to reread it and get it out of it or anything. It's just an expression of how you're feeling at the time.
Yeah.
And it's through that act then that you feel better. You feel, it's like talking to a friend. It is your friend in a different way.
did your idea for the journaling workshop, was it sort of fed by the Ways to Wellness program that you've been running for the last couple of years?
Yes, definitely. The Ways to Wellness workshops were always about creativity and had a little touch of self-reflection, journaling, paper-based exercises. But what happened a lot of the times during the workshop in situations where we got so engrossed in the physical making of things and then the tidying up and maybe some checkout and stuff. But some of those planned exercises didn't happen. So it was almost like this Boots Off was an opportunity to take some of that, distill it and not have the other side of the art making alongside it and just see how that worked out. So I'm really happy to focus on that. And I find actually the latest Ways to Wellness that is just finishing up next Tuesday has allowed for a lot more of the personal development side to come out, because we're not in a big studio with lots of stuff going on. We're all working in our individual spaces. So there is time for more reflection and more practical exercises, I would call them, and exploring different techniques on using different materials, but not art making as such, so to complement it. So I'm finding the online process works to the advantage of that. I often think of the wet day and getting in the car and everything and piling everything in and trying to find parking and unloading outside an arts centre or somewhere, and the rain beating into you. There's a lot said for a snug, warm studio where you can just open your laptop and say hi to everybody. It's very different.
Yeah. Silver linings, my dear, silver linings. So there's 1 week left in the Boots Off workshop. So I suppose we can take this opportunity to encourage people to join in for that last week. It's been very much a drop-in sort of atmosphere anyway, a relaxed sort of setting, and it's a place to just sort of chill out for an hour or so.
Yeah, no, everyone is, people are welcome to join us. Definitely, you can get a lot out of one session. Only bring your pen and paper. And I'm actually, all participants are getting a free book and pen as well, which I've been posting off to people. So that's a plus as well if you join in on next Tuesday on the 2nd.
So bring your pen and notebook and a nice big cup of tea, and we'll all
take off the boots and put up to the fire, as they say. We'll have a bit of fun.
Brigid, thanks a million. The last few weeks have been really good, and we'll see you again next Tuesday for the final instalment of Boots Off.
Thank you, Emer, and thanks to the Arts Centre for organising this amazing little series of workshops.
And that's it for another episode of The Cup of Culture. We hope you enjoyed it. If you want to have a look at the remaining events left in our programme, you can visit our website at www.souththipartcentre.ie, or if you'd like to email the podcast, the email address is souththipartspodcast@gmail.com. Talk to you all next time.